It's too expensive. It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bullshit with all the permits and all the... What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
So, while the skies may have cleared over California, the storm's far from over, especially on the airwaves. Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson, still fired up and taking no prisoners. The duo lit up a recent episode of Rogan's podcast, unleashing a no-holds-barred critique of Governor Gavin Newsom. According to them, his leadership during the crisis wasn't just flawed, it was a full-blown failure. If you're into hard-hitting, unfiltered political heat with a dose of celebrity candor, this episode is pure gasoline. Buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and prepare for the sparks to fly.
State is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like, you're out of your mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined.
Rogan didn't hold back. He came out swinging, blasting California Governor Gavin Newsom for what he sees as a colossal waste of leadership and lost potential. In Rogan's eyes, California should be the crown jewel of the U.S., a sun-drenched paradise teeming with innovation, ambition, and opportunity. But instead, people are leaving in droves. Rogan himself packed up and left in 2020, fed up with what he calls a suffocating culture of censorship, where a single misstep or unpopular opinion can derail your entire life. On the podcast, Rogan painted Newsom as the architect of a full-blown Californian collapse, taking a booming, opportunity-rich economy and gutting it through a combination of reactionary policies, virtue signaling, and what Rogan calls theater over substance. Crime is surging. Homelessness is spreading like wildfire. Businesses are fleeing. Taxes? Through the roof. To Rogan, Newsom embodies the pitfalls of modern progressive politics, big on buzzwords, low on results. And let's not forget, this isn't Rogan's first takedown. During the pandemic, he slammed Newsom for decimating small businesses with inconsistent restrictions and fumbled decision-making.
No one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it.
So what do you tell those people?
Vote Republican.
Gavin Newsom's pandemic response wasn't just a misstep. In Joe Rogan's eyes, it was the final nail in the coffin. The moment that pushed him to question everything, even flirting with the idea of throwing support behind the Republican Party. Why? Because, according to Rogan, the Democrats didn't just drop the ball, they buried it. While small businesses were gasping for air under endless lockdowns, mega corporations thrived. Families watched their livelihoods vanish. A mental health crisis quietly erupted behind closed doors. And yet, the policies kept coming, rigid, sweeping, and often contradictory. Schools remained closed for months, depriving children, especially those in underserved communities, of vital education, despite mounting evidence that transmission risks among kids were minimal. And those mask mandates, Rogan called them out as political theater, optics over outcomes. But he didn't stop there. He blasted the left for stifling dissent, warping science into dogma, and treating open debate like a hostile act. In his view, Newsom was handed a golden opportunity to lead, and instead presided over a slow-motion disaster. Shuttered businesses, fractured lives, and vanishing freedoms became the legacy. And now, with California's wildfires turning up the heat, literally, Rogan's scrutiny of Newsom has only intensified.
It's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plan.
Watch this. Play this. Give me.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying we're move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their...
Now you can see why Joe Rogan is urging Californians to take a hard look at the Republican ticket. For him, leadership isn't about polished speeches or photo ops staged for social media. It's about showing up when everything's on fire, figuratively and literally. And when California was in freefall, Rogan didn't forget who stepped up. He recalls Arnold Schwarzenegger walking straight into the storm. No excuses, no grandstanding, just a man trying to fix what was broken. While mom-and-pop shops collapsed and families watched their futures vanish, Newsom was photographed whining and dining, maskless, at high-end restaurants. All this while enforcing some of the strictest mandates in the country. Rogan saw it as hypocrisy at its peak, playing political chess while the people on the board were losing their livelihoods. He's not making it about party lines. It's deeper than that. Rogan is calling for authenticity, courage, and accountability. Not headlines, not ego, just someone willing to get their hands dirty and do the job. Californians, in his view, don't need another smooth-talking strategist. They need a leader who actually gives a damn.
Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. California has all this industry. Hey, they're all thinking about moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. If it was like every business could instantly pull up roots and replace everything and have everything running in a week at the other place, they'd all be gone.
Joe Rogan didn't just criticize Gavin Newsom. He unleashed a full-throttle takedown, accusing the California governor of turning the Golden State into a graveyard for small businesses. In Rogan's view, Newsom didn't just mismanage the economy, he actively strangled the entrepreneurial spirit that once made California thrive. It started with Assembly Bill 5, a confusing, bureaucratic nightmare that reclassified independent contractors and gig workers as employees. The result? Soaring labor costs, legal headaches, and chaos for small businesses trying to stay afloat. Then came the headline-grabbing $20 an hour minimum wage. Sounds progressive on paper, but Rogan painted a much darker reality. Family-run diners shutting down, local cafes laying off longtime staff, and neighborhood staples disappearing one by one. Rogan pointed to the unemployment system debacle during the pandemic, where billions were lost to fraud, and now honest business owners are footing the bill through surprise payroll tax hikes they never signed up for. In his eyes, Newsom didn't just neglect business owners. He steamrolled them with red tape, tone-deaf policy experiments, and hollow political theater. California, Rogan warned, is no longer the land of opportunity. It's becoming a masterclass in how to break what once worked. And he made it clear he's not done speaking out.
It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the with all the permits and all that. What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke shit show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into La La Land. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
That's the voice of a man who's hit his limit. Joe Rogan has had it with Gavin Newsom's leadership, and honestly, can you blame him? California, a state once synonymous with freedom, innovation, and prosperity, now feels like a cautionary tale wrapped in sunshine. Despite its immense wealth and global influence, it's becoming harder to ignore the cracks beneath the golden veneer. Rogan points to sweeping progressive policies and regulation overload, laws that look good on paper but fall apart in practice. If California were a product, he says, it'd come with flashy branding but no quality control. Take a drive through Los Angeles or San Francisco and you'll see it firsthand. Sidewalks overtaken by tents, neighborhoods gripped by rising crime, and families priced out of their own zip codes. Meanwhile, businesses are packing up and heading to places like Texas and Florida, where the tax codes are leaner and the bureaucratic maze isn't nearly as punishing. The cost of living, strangling the middle class. And Rogan's not standing alone. Actor Mel Gibson has stepped into the spotlight too, adding his voice to the growing chorus of those demanding a serious course correction.
And Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Mel Gibson didn't just speak out, he unleashed. No hedging, no sugarcoating. His message was crystal clear. Vote Gavin Newsom out. And this wasn't some Hollywood soundbite or calculated stunt. Gibson meant every word, and his frustration came from a very real breaking point. That moment, when ICE protests in California spiraled from peaceful demonstrations into chaos. Rampant looting, shattered storefronts, businesses torched, and entire neighborhoods caught in the crossfire. As chaos unfolded, Gibson watched in disbelief as Newsom stood on the sidelines, playing politics while communities burned. To Gibson, this wasn't just poor leadership, it was a full-blown betrayal. Instead of protecting the people he was elected to serve, Newsom chose to posture, aligning with protesters while failing to draw the line when things turned violent. Law-abiding citizens didn't want a crackdown, they just wanted safety, stability, and a leader who wouldn't vanish when it mattered most. And just when things couldn't feel more absurd, Newsom seemed more focused on political grandstanding than fixing the wreckage. Gibson called it like he saw it. Negligence dressed up as ideology, with everyday Californians left to pick up the pieces.
These poor people are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror, the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me, let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community, I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up, they need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So Tom, arrest me.
As if arresting one person could somehow erase the wildfire of chaos Gavin Newsom helped ignite during the ICE protests. It's almost comical. A carefully choreographed performance staged for the cameras to paint Newsom as some no-nonsense enforcer. But behind the flashbulbs and curated press moments is a leader more obsessed with optics than actual outcomes. His response to the protests wasn't leadership. It was a PR scramble, a frantic effort to patch up the fallout from his own inaction. I watched it unfold in real time. Cities lit up in flames, store owners watched their life's work trashed overnight, and everyday citizens were left wondering if anyone in charge still had their back. And when the public outrage finally boiled over, Newsom suddenly tried to pivot, posing as the iron-fisted leader he never was. If he truly cared about immigration reform, he would have rolled up his sleeves and worked alongside federal agencies to build real, humane, effective solutions that protect borders and honor the American promise. But courage like that, it takes backbone, and that's where Newsom falls short. Meanwhile, Jon Voight wasn't pulling punches either. He had his own blistering take on the California government.
You're a fool, blaming Trump. What are you doing for this destruction of these animals destroying Los Angeles? Are you there, talking calmly with them, you fool? They would burn you down like they're burning the cars and the American flag, with no regard for humanity. This is not about Trump. This is about protecting the people from these animals and criminals trying to destroy us. And our police force, are they supposed to stand there, let rocks hit them and kill them? Who's going to save them? You? You're a disgrace. You're nothing but a lying dog for the hopes of becoming the president one.
With a track record like this, the idea of Gavin Newsom being the Democratic Party's leading man for 2028 borders on surreal. California, a state blessed with natural beauty, tech giants, and some of the brightest minds in the world, has floundered under his leadership. How can someone who struggled to keep one state from unraveling be trusted with an entire nation? Under Newsom's watch, the California dream has faded into something unrecognizable. Homelessness has exploded, violent crime continues to climb, and the cost of living is pushing middle-class families out in droves. Meanwhile, businesses, big and small, are fleeing to states that offer relief from suffocating regulation and sky-high taxes. He talks a big game about progress, but on the ground, it's a different story. Schools are lagging, infrastructure is cracking, and the people bearing the brunt of it all. Everyday Californians trying to survive the chaos. Newsom doesn't lead with solutions, he leads with sound bites. Flashy ideas that dazzle on Twitter but collapse in the real world. So when political chatter turns to Newsom as a potential future president, for many, it's not inspiration, it's a warning flare. If this is his prototype for national leadership, the country can't afford the sequel. From Joe Rogan to Mel Gibson, his critics aren't mincing words. The message is loud and clear. If he can't steer California out of the storm, what makes anyone think he's ready to pilot the ship of state? And he's running out of places to hide from that question.